there. So a couple of you had been asking for some help with the molar ratio questions. So this is for the National 5 pupils who are preparing for higher. So I just very quickly wanted to talk you through some of it. So this was the exercise that I copied over to Paint. So it's not going to be very fancy, it's just a very quick explanation. So for the very first question, you've got a balanced equation where sodium is reacting with chlorine to produce sodium chloride. It says copy the balanced equation and write the molar ratio underneath. So I'm just going to write the molar ratio underneath because I'm using Paint quite quickly. So basically you're just writing the number of moles of each substance in the equation, separated by ratio signs. So for this you would rewrite the equation, and then because there are 2 moles of sodium, that's not what I wanted. Because there are 2 moles of sodium, you would just write a 2, then a ratio sign, then a 1 because there's 1 mole of chlorine up here, and then the arrow, which is a present in the equation, and then there are 2 moles of sodium chloride. So that was the first question. I will need to refer back and forward to that balanced equation. So number 3 says write the actual molar ratio for if 1 mole of sodium was added into the reaction. Okay, so the original molar ratio we've still got here, so it was 2 to 1 to 2. So that was for sodium, and that was for chlorine, to give us NaCl. Okay, so if 1 mole of sodium was added, according to our molar ratio up here, for every mole of sodium, half of the number of moles of chlorine are going to react. So that means that only 0.5 moles of chlorine would react with 1 mole of sodium. That means that this would produce just 1 mole of sodium chloride if we're using this same ratio. Okay. For the next one, numbers are slightly more complicated. So it says how many moles of sodium chloride would be produced if 0.4 moles of Cl2 reacted with enough sodium. So Cl2 was here. I'm just using the equation above. And this was sodium. Right? So if this time, if we've got 0.4 moles of Cl2, we can see from the mole ratios up here that however many moles of Cl2 react, twice the number of moles of sodium chloride are produced. So for this, twice the number of moles of 0.4 would be 0.8 moles of sodium chloride would be produced altogether. Okay. The next couple of questions I can go through very quickly as well. So it says how many moles of each reactant would be required to produce 0.025 moles of product. So again, very quickly, and I apologise that this isn't very neat. I'm using my kind of keypad here. I need to get a mouse. So the equation was sodium reacting with chlorine, and it was 2 moles of sodium to produce 2 moles of sodium chloride. So just a reminder that the word reactant does mean the substances which are reacting together. So in this question, the reactants would be sodium and chlorine. So if we wanted to produce 0.025 moles of product, that would be over here. And for this question, we need to work back the way. So if that was 2 moles of sodium chloride was produced, if we're using our mole ratio of 2 to 1 to 2, right? That means that half of the number of moles of sodium chloride must have reacted as chlorine. So half of 0.025 would be 0.0125. So that is the number of moles of chlorine that has reacted. Right? If there are 2 moles of sodium chloride produced for every 2 moles of sodium, right, that should mean that the same number of moles of sodium reacted. So that means that you should have 0.0 0.25 moles of sodium. Okay, I'm going to leave it short and sweet there and see if that's worked, and hopefully that's helped some of you. Remember, you can email your chemistry teacher if you need any help.